I will say this, and that is that although it took us until 1997 to get an Oceans Act and all the things that are contained in it, the British people are only just recently passing a marine
Right.
bill, which has them doing the same things along the coast of the UK. When you
Right.
consider the difference in history between our two countries,
Yeah.
maybe we're not so late after all.
Possibly, yeah. No, and I guess I'm glad at that point. But it seems as though I guess your point is DFO seems to be receptive to either a group or an organization going to them and saying, "Look, this is very important to us. This area is very important to us. And we would like to protect it. Can you help us either put into regulation or even with the framework or strategy?" And perhaps down the road, I'm not saying exactly now, but if we get enough people to realize in Canada that our coasts, and I'm not just including the Atlantic, the Pacific, or the Arctic, I'm including the Great Lakes, which is essentially our fourth coast, they're very important to us, and we heavily rely on it for whatever matter. Everything's connected to those coasts. And perhaps using social media like you do for your blog and LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and all these different social media applications, a movement can sort of roll on, such as the climate change movements that various people have started and have been fairly successful. I mean, climate change is on the hearts and minds of everybody now. And I think with recent occurrences such as the Gulf of Mexico oil spill, the environment is sort of comes up always because of some sort of negative aspect. But it's always good that the environment kind of steps up, and you can see a lot of backing for that by everybody, and not just marine biologists or social scientists or anybody who lives on the coast. It's people that are landlocked, are very involved in that sort of thing. So it's always good to see that sort of thing.
I think we have to have the appropriate sort of institutional mechanisms, whether they're laws or policies or
Hmm.
schemes, in order for us to sort of find a way to get in there and make these kinds of things happen. And for finding, ways for local people, whether they're native or non-native, to get in and make these kinds of things happening. That's why I think that the advent of the Oceans Act here in Canada is so important. That has provided a platform for people to work from.
Yeah.
Before that, the best you could hope for was to use the Fisheries Act or something like
Right.
that,
Right.
which was never really established to develop any kind of marine protected areas, never mind the coastal issues that
Exactly.
might be important in that.
Absolutely.
So we have some of the institutional mechanisms in place,
Hmm.
but you mentioned the Great Lakes, and of course the Oceans Act doesn't apply in the Great
Right.
Lakes, and so we need something else there. So the Ontario government is going to have to step up. Maybe it
Right.
will.
Yeah. Yeah. You never know. Maybe we can get enough backing behind us that it'll happen. And I'm sure it will down the road. I'm sure people will realize that it's a necessity. Now I know we don't have much time left, but I just kind of want to go across some quick points, and you don't have to go in a long answer for it. But there's some issues in Canada and abroad that have come up in recent events. There's movies made about it, but a lot of it has to do with hunting and marine mammals, whether it be the seal hunt in Canada, whether it be whaling in all over the world, really. It
Yep.
seems to be a major issue, and I can definitely understand people's perspective in terms of nobody wants to see a marine mammal get hurt. Nobody wants to see a seal get killed, and we see these now, and I don't think people have seen them recently, but again, because of social media and the internet right now, people can see these videos very clearly. However, a lot of groups have come out and said, ban seal hunting, ban whaling, and everything like that. But I never see anything about let's look at alternatives for hunters that hunt these and perhaps rely on these on the goods or the value of these products that come out of that. What are your sort of thoughts on that? And are a lot of the times are these hunters that are involved? Do they have other means? Is it more of a cultural and traditional sense of why they do it, or is it because of definitely like they rely on the economic value of the hunt?
Yeah, I think you made a good point when you asked about are there substitute activities that people who are involved in these could take up, and of course that was a big issue with respect to the seal hunt in Newfoundland,
Mm-hmm.
and there. Well, we know that Newfoundland, at least up until the last 10 or 15 years anyway, hasn't been very well off economically. The oil has changed that there. And so one might suggest that there are other things that people could do that have more to do with exploiting that oil. However, at the same time, many Newfoundlanders who are involved in the seal hunt will tell you that they've done this because they did it since they were children. Their fathers
Right.
did it. Their grandfathers did it. There is a tradition there
Right.
that's in. One hears the same sort of story with respect to taking whales from West Coast First Nations,
Mm-hmm.
who in fact do that. But I guess when you go to whaling in the Southern Ocean off Australia and talk about Japanese factory ships killing whales supposedly for research, I think that's the height of hypocrisy. I mean, that is
Right.
corporate, and that's all it is. Sure, there are people who eat whale meat, but do they have to eat whale meat? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that some of the institutions that we have in place, the International Whaling Commission, needs to do a better job of dealing with that kind of hypocrisy. And clearly it hasn't been the case that
Right.
that has. Now, I could point the finger at the IWC, but as you know, there are lots of other sort of UN level sorts of organizations
Mm-hmm.
that have the same kind of problem.
Mm-hmm.
We have to be more supportive of those organizations if we want whaling, for example, to cease, or if we want whaling to continue, but under very stringent rules.
Right.
I was quite happy to see the Australian government decide earlier this week or late last week to take the IWC to court or Japan to court if, in fact, they continue to whale or to hunt whales in the Southern Ocean. I think it's important for countries like that to stand up. And if you were in Australia, you'd find that probably 9 out of 10 people on the street would be appalled that the Japanese were flaunting the regulations in the Southern Ocean. I mean, after all, it's supposed to be a protected area. What are they doing in there in the first place?
Exactly.
So I guess I have sympathy for people, real people who may in fact have a cultural or an economic stake in seals or whales. I certainly have much less worry about large corporations who flaunt the rules to their own economic advantage.
Right, and it seems I completely agree with you there, and it seems in the case of the Canadian seal hunt, the boycotting of any type of products or seal products that come out that the EU did recently, it just seems. To me, I guess I understand why they want to do it. They want to stop it, but it seems extreme to the point where, you're not speaking to the hunters, and I think if you work with the hunters, perhaps, or get their voices out and let them speak, sort of thing, and say, look, this is what we've been doing forever. We've been doing it forever, and it's going to continue that way, where we do it sustainably. It's not, obviously the methods they do it are not the best PR to show, but